Okay, welcome back again, guys. What I did this time is I actually had out my AGFA Pioneer. Now, I do believe I mentioned this before in a separate video, simply because of the curvature on the back here. Now, this camera originally took 616 film, okay, which is a lot taller. If you can see, I'm not positive if you can see, I have the lights a little lower than that, but you can see that it's a little bit taller film than a regular 20. That's compared to a 120 spool right there. So it's a little bit taller. So in order to make up the difference, to shoot 120 inside this camera, because they do not make any more 616, I actually went out and I purchased these spacers. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with these. I got them on filmphotographyproject.com, and I believe they're made off of a 3D printer. Some company in Italy decided to do that, and we appreciate that a lot. But back to this camera. This is a simple camera. Now, this camera has a set shutter speed at 1/50th of a second, and the f-stop, the aperture, is f14. As far as the distance goes from the subject, I couldn't find anything on that, so I tried to stay at least, maybe 3 yards away, which is about 9 feet. So I tried to stay at least 10 feet away from what I was shooting. Okay, like I said, I did run a little bit through here, and I'm not sure if I have, and it's a simple process to get in the back here. You pull this knob to help it slide out, and it's simple. It's just like, all the other box cameras you might find that were made back in the day. This is the same thing. Okay. So, now the negatives that come out of this are 6x9, okay? And they're pretty big negatives there, So I had an issue the first time that I shot this, okay? And my issue was I didn't know the size of the negatives in the back, and I followed the numbers on the 120 roll of film that I had put in there. The window on the back of the camera, it is in the location to shoot a square format in today's film standards. And so the numbers went all the way up, actually beyond that. It went to 16. And the very first roll I shot in there, I actually shot all 16. Now, like I said, they're 6x9s. So what had happened when I had developed them, all of the images were on top of each other all the way through to the end. So it was one solid, a strip of photographs with no breaks in between because they were overlapped the whole way. Okay, that's learning curve number one. Okay, and the second thing I did wrong on that very first roll is I only put the spacers on the film end of it, the unexposed film end, and I actually used the 616 spool as the take-up spool. And that was problem number two, because there was now a gap on either side of the film. So both sides had light leaks in the side because there was a gap there, and the spool wasn't blocking anything. So that was mistake number two. And I think those are the only two mistakes I made on that very first roll out. I couldn't scan it because the scanner didn't know where to stop and end, so I was having issues with that, so I just scrapped the whole roll, which kind of sucks because it would have been nice to, get some of those overlaps in there. But so then I learned from that, and I used the spacers in both sides of the camera, and I used a 120 spool as a take-up. Now, these spacers are actually pretty freaking awesome, okay? Because they slide inside, this is an old one, they slide inside, now I gotta go to get some. So sorry for the hiccup. Yeah, like I was saying, the spacers are pretty awesome. Because as you can see, and I'm going to use this roll as a demonstration roll. I forgot to bring one, I had to go get one real quick. As you can see, the slots on the top. Well, these come with a little slot on them, and they slide right in there like that, you know. And it's pretty neat. You gotta hold it. It's not gonna stay on its own. And then the other side, you know, simply goes on there. And that there takes up. Okay, this is the top. Where's my camera? Okay, so it would go on this side. You put the top one in. It tilts back a little bit, and it fits right there. Now this here then would come around the top over here, and then the take-up spool would be on this side. Okay, that would be, this is just for demonstration purposes, it would be on this side. Okay, and they actually have one with a slot in it that this fits into, so that it can actually turn it. So you can actually turn it and get the film to move across the plane there. But that is the way I used it. But I had an issue with that, even that as well. For some reason, on the take-up side, when I put both of those spacers on there, it's too tight and I can't close the camera. So what I had to do is take the one off the top. I tried them both ways. I took the one off the bottom and left the one on the top. But I had to take down on the top and the bottom. But I had to take the one off the bottom. The top, I needed the one in there so I can turn it and take it up. But yeah, so I had to take one of them off. So it's just a matter of playing around and figuring out what's going to work and how it's going to go for you. And that day was actually kind of interesting. Let me show you a couple shots from it right here. It was interesting because not only did I actually have to get it out, have a chance to get it out and shoot it, something from, and it's from the 1940s, you know what I mean? And so that in itself was exciting to me. And the pictures that it takes, because the shutter speed is at 1/50th of a second, I have to be extremely still because of the whole camera shake. But here, I'll show you a couple of the shots right here. Unfortunately, my scanner cut them down just a little bit because when I put it on the 6x9 function, it just didn't take the whole thing. So, you know what I mean? So I had issues with that, and I really didn't figure that out yet. I just wanted to get this out and going because I haven't put a video out in a while. But take a look at these shots. There's like 2 or 3 of them right here, and I'm going to show you. I still have another one to develop, so I'll develop those and put those at the end here from this roll here. So take a look at these. We'll come back, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at this guy, the Brownie Hawkeye flash from the 50s. Okay, take a look at these, and we'll come right back. Okay, so those were really cool. I really liked them. The guy's name, who's in there, he actually talked to me for a while. He's 86 years old, and he's retired. His name is Warren. Okay, and we talked for a good 15, 20 minutes. And in the process of talking with Warren, I reached down into my camera bag to get a card, to give him one of my cards, you know. And as I did that, I dropped the AGFA Pioneer, you know, from waist level. Okay, I mean, and it took it like a champ. It it hit the ground, and there was snow, as you saw. There was snow and ice, and it hit the ground, and it bounced and skidded across the ice, and didn't phase it. I mean, it's built like a tank, so that was a great thing about it as well. You know, so hats off to Warren for being a good guy and getting that up for me. He got down there before I could reach down and get it for him. But yeah, so I had a good chat with him for about half an hour, you know, good guy. Went to Korea and stuff like that. So yeah, it was great getting out the old camera. But right now, let's talk about this guy. This here we have the Brownie Hawkeye Flash. This is from the 50s. Now this particular camera was given to me by a person I work with. And I do also, in a box underneath my desk here, I do have the flash attachment, 2 boxes of bulbs that he gave me for it. And so I plan on trying them because I've never done that. Now this camera is difficult in the viewfinder here to see, because there's a viewfinder on the top here. There's film in it right now. I took a few shots earlier today. But if you can see that the viewfinder there, it's dusty on the inside, and I couldn't get these screws off so I can clean the inside of it, and I didn't want to strip them, so I'll just deal with it, you know. But this here is the viewing lens, and then this is the photo lens right down here. Okay, now this one, I'm not exactly sure of the shutter speed, you know, and I'm not exactly sure of the aperture on this. You know, I couldn't find that information. I'm sure it's out there, and I'm sure it's probably in the easiest place to find it. I just didn't find it, you know. But this took 620 film, and I have a couple other 620 film cameras. And what I do with those, I have a Kodak, I want to say Junior 620. But what I do with those is I take the film, I put it in a light bag, a dark bag, and I manually transfer it to a 620 spool. The great thing about this one is you don't need to do that with this camera. With this camera, you can take that roll, and there's a lip right around the edge here, and if you take some toenail clippers and you clip that lip off of there, it'll roll just fine. The only thing that you will need to do, though, is have the 620 take-up spool, because on a 120, you see the X there, where it comes in there? Well, that's too big for the adapter inside of here to get in there. And once it gets a lot of tension on it, when you get down around frame number 9 and frame number 10, it's hard, and it starts to eat it out. You know, the very first roll I shot in here, I actually couldn't take it out in the field. I had to bring the whole camera back, put it in a dark bag, and then open it and remove the film that way, because it was that stripped. I couldn't get it all the way through. So I learned that lesson. And these take the square format. This is 6x6, and they come out nice as well. You know, the dust that's in the viewfinder here, it really doesn't hurt anything as far as the take up. But you know, it has, like I said, it has the flash attachment. You put the flash in there, and boom. It's a solid camera as well. Once again, it's from the 50s, so it's the Bakelite. It's what they did back then. But I like that little camera. I really do. So those are the two. And actually, you know what? Before I go any further, let me show you a couple shots that came out of this one, because I did put a couple on Instagram. And let me show you a couple that came out of this camera here, and then when we come back, I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Okay? Okay, take a look at these guys, then we'll come right back. Yeah, those were nice too, wouldn't you agree? So yeah, once again, that's the camera, and you can get these at the antique place. I mean, I'm in central Pennsylvania, so most of the antique places around here, they go for like $30, you know, and it's great if you can get them with the take-up spool, okay, with the spool in there. That's key. Unfortunately, sometimes they don't have them. You know, people just get rid of them, they discard them. Just like any other things get lost, you know. So that's them. Now, once again, like I said, I still have a roller to develop from the AGFA Pioneer, so they're going to come at the end here. But I want to tell you what I'm going to do next. Now, a little while back, I got this Olympus OM10. Now, this camera, I wasn't so thrilled about it, you know. I really wasn't, and I don't think I gave it a fair shot, you know. Actually, honestly, I can say I know I didn't give it a fair shot. I have shot an Olympus OMPC since then, and then for around Christmas time, I signed up for, you know, on emulsive.org for the Secret Santa, and the person who caught my name sent me a 135mm for an Olympus OM series. I have a couple of lenses for the OM series, and he gave me a 135. Actually, I believe this is it right here. So yeah, it's on here, and I did shoot it. So, and it's a great lens, you know, and I don't think I gave this a fair shot, so I'm going to shoot it again. But I'm going to take it a step further, because when I bought this, if you look back a few videos ago that I did last year, I put when I received this, I got this from an auction, and I paid like $60 for it or something like that. And I got a bunch of stuff with it. And one of the things that I got is the winder. Now, this winder, it intrigues me. And so what I want to do is I want to make this work. I want to take shots with the winder, and it's basically your rapid shot, you know. And so I'm going to shoot a higher speed film than I normally shoot. I'll shoot a 400 instead of a 100. And see what comes out. So, but yeah, so as you can see, it goes on really fast and easy. And the shutter is on top here for that. And I believe the batteries go on the end here. I want to try it because I didn't give this camera a fair shot to begin with. I want to give it another shot, and I also want to try the winder. So we're going to do this next, okay? And hopefully, and this is February, so hopefully in March, beginning of March, I'll have this finished for you, and I'll put this up right away, and we'll see how that works. It feels really good, so fingers crossed it's going to be great. So that's what's next. That's what's next on the video coming up. So right now, I'm going to finish this here. Take a look at this final few shots from the AGFA, okay? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, okay? Thanks again. I'll see you next time.